G'day guys, just going to run through our horses to follow, horses to risk for the first week. So basically a weekly roundup of New South Wales country and provincial racing mainly. There'll be a couple of metropolitan horses in there, but mostly these horses will come from the country provincials with the metro meetings covered in their own reviews. First one we're going to look at here is in the first race at Grafton on Monday. Extremely slow tempo, not a super duper example, but not a bad one to start. The horse is called Nothing from the Press, Nothing for the Press. It's back here, it gets sort of dragged out of the race, over races throughout most of the way. And what we're looking for here in extreme slow tempos is the horse most affected by the speed. Sometimes it can be the ones up front, so it's not always the horses out the back. It's basically the ones that are strongest through the line late, and you can see this horse really building through his gears and strong late. Like, it's not a flashing light run, but that's probably why it is a little bit of a positive here. A few people will miss it, and it should be harder to beat in a more genuinely run race. Obviously not really looking for these sort of horses that often, horses that settle well back in the field, but this time, with a slow tempo against it, does look a horse that was restrained back there, so it can hold a position if it draws a gate or fine circumstances where it can race handier, and it certainly can improve. But it's one that you want to be really ruthless on when finding the race. You want it all to line up for it to be a horse to be backing its next start, but it certainly looks to be going well enough. Race 3. Pardon me. Race 3. This is a horse that we want to point out as being a touch flattered here. There are some disclaimers against it. I'll explain why. They're not the sort of horse. So this is the opposite. This is one that races on the speed, but it's such a poor race. It's so weak on the line, even though it is a solidish tempo. It's not a fast tempo. It's more an average tempo that slows down than anything. That we'll point this one out. So it is the winner, named Wasm. There's a few reasons why this race was super weak. So not just the time, also the favourite just went a little bit too far there, misses the start. So this is a really short price odds on favourite. Back here, desperately unlucky, should have won the race. The horse we're going to attack here is Wasm. The only reason I'm going to officially attack it is because it got that couple of lengths back behind the leader and had cover. If it had been right outside it and pressuring it, I probably would have let it go. But you can see here the favourite's back here having no luck. This horse takes an age to get past the leader, and once it does get there, you'll see the others are all closing. It's a bit of a swarm, and see how weak this horse is right on the line. He's really needing the line desperately, and others are all sort of closing from everywhere. So the other reason to be harsh on this sort of race is because it is maiden. Biggest step up in grades, obviously maiden to any grade past it. You're racing against winners now, and this horse now has to step out of this grade, coming out of a weak race, weak on the line, quite a short race obviously, and now has to really lift to be competitive, and coming off a last start win could certainly be overplayed. So this is a risk horse. Race 5, pretty easy to work this one out. This horse Belt Fly's now won, I think, 6 from 9 for John Shelton. The horse is absolutely airborne. Flops out the gates back here. It's obviously got form over a lot further than this. I think it had like 64 kilos here if we just look it up at the same time. So it's had 64 kilos. That's it, tailed off. Obviously was a bit of an advantage here to be up on the speed too throughout the day. It looked, and you'll see it getting to the outside here. Like the young apprentice on board hasn't had to do a lot on it really. Just sort of steer it out to the middle, gave it 1-2 there, and watch it lengthen late. It wins and wins comfortably. Runs away from this horse. It looks like everything says it should be able to win in town, this horse. It's certainly absolutely airborne for this stable. I believe it's nominated for the Tamworth Cup this week, so going 1,000 to 14 back up in is going to be tough. And its second up record is not great. The one issue with that is it's never had a second up run for the Shelton camp, and obviously winning 6 of its last 8 or 9 is just crazy. So he'll place the horse as well as he can. It will be more difficult from now on, but you can see the horse is absolutely flying. So absolutely no knock on Bellflyer, and that win was better than it probably looked, which was tough because it was such a good looking win. On to Hawkesbury Tuesday. First winner. Average time here. Did look to find the right race, but I think it's a horse on the up. You can see it's got. Don't think it really wants to be ridden on speed, but got there fair enough, close enough to the tempo. See here, it doesn't quicken like super off the mark, but they are all quickening. But once it starts to roll through its gears, when he puts a bit of pressure on the horse, I like what it does through the line. You can see that it's sort of building through its revs, a bit of an underplayed win. A small field. I think this horse can certainly get up to 1400 metres with no issue at all and be better suited. Another not super exciting example, but one that definitely looks set to go through its grades. Race 5, another small field, desperately slow time, obviously off an extremely slow tempo. Warning signs with being against horses in these sort of fields, but I just thought that this horse had every possible chance, Phoenix Charm, and just the pure fact that the other favourite in the race, it's horse Prahara, we'll see what it does in a second. When given one with a whip, basically throws the race away. So this horse has automatically become fairly flattered. I don't want to be seriously against it next start and say that it can't win wherever it goes, because it's obviously got upside, and that slow tempo shows that it hides quite a lot of merit usually. So not seriously against it, but definitely was flattered by the margin. Obviously everyone will see it too, which will bring it back into a play a bit, but it's just a horse just to be wary of if it goes around fairly short next time around, that it might have a few chinks in its armour. And the horse to follow from the day, strongest race of the day, was the last. This horse, Dalmatia Prince, so we'll see that beaten 2.5 lengths, 3 lengths behind it, so good margins behind it, which usually hides a fourth position, or it's good to have gaps behind rather than in front for hidden sake. People tend to miss all the merit. So it sits outside the leader here in a solid tempo. Puts away the leader really early, way too early. These horses are City Class also mine, Lavani, Equipped and Blanco Caro. This horse is up to 2,000 metres for the first time this preparation. Battles on strongly, and as we said, there's good 3 length gap. So same sort of distance, if it can control rather than sit outside the leader, next time it can be hard to beat in a very similar race. Dalmatia Prince. We'll head to Randwick for 1. I just wanted to show this race. It was just more of the effort of the horse. Just sort of like I talked about, this horse is 5th. It's had 5, so it's gone 14, 18, 23, 2, 23, back from Group 1, up from Group 1 distance, 2,000 up to 2,500, but obviously back in grade. Whether they continue on with this horse now it has a break, I'm not sure, but if they do, we'll just show there was some good merit in the race. So gate 1 this horse has ridden along a little bit early, eases off the heels of the leader there for whatever reason, ends up 3 and 4 wide the entire trip, no cover from gate 1, makes an early move to sit outside the leader. So these are all good things, early moves, wide, no cover. Now has to try and pick up the leader who's sprinted. You can see it goes down narrowly. So this horse should have clearly won from mine. Fairly strong race. It can come out in something similar. It's obviously got the 2,400 metre run under its belt now. I think it wants that sort of distance. And it's a horse that's going well enough to win if they stable continue to go on with it this preparation. Wyong on the 19th, just the one here. Very easy to find this one, but it passes all tests, there's no doubt about that. The time was okay off a slow tempo. Wyong was easy to run on here. The horse we're talking about is a horse called Wisdom Tree. You can't see it. It's out here in the red cap. It's having its first start in a race. See early, it was never looked like crossing, so you can see there the horse is being just dragged out of the race. Extremely hard to give up ground, like to actually take away ground off a horse, so physically restrain it out of the race and then make that ground up again over 1,000 metres. Much better sitting wide or and travelling and not having to make the ground up again. You can see this horse is now actually getting keen back in the field here, Wisdom Tree, and the leader's getting a soft time of it, short price favourite. This horse is now forced to take off against the pattern and the tempo. These horses are all sprinting up now, so it's got to try and do something even extra special to make up ground, and you can see how strongly this horse hits the line late. Like it'll be going around fairly short wherever it goes next start, I'm sure of that. You see when it changed onto its right leg there, it just absolutely rocketed. I don't think it's the strongest race in the world, but this horse is certainly the one to follow out of the race and should just be breaking through as long as it doesn't run into a crazy strong race next start or go to town or something like that. It's a big track for it, ideally somewhere like Kembla or Newcastle, or it'll be hard to beat. Muswellbrook on the 20th. A couple of interesting ones here. 2-year-old race 2. The winner dominant here, and the other horse I wanted to highlight, just wanted to show it had trialled quite well coming in here, and I had a little interesting look at it. Went around 100 to 1 in this race, so expecting it to go around at odds again next start wherever it goes. So we're looking at the leader, looking at the early leader, so this horse that jumps clearly in front, and the other one's well out here in the red, second widest. See it again being dragged out of the race. So we just said 1,000-metre race, when you give up that asset of a bit of early speed. So it was drawn wide, and it's certainly a tricky situation, only having its first start in a race, so I'm not knocking anything, but it just hides what the horse was truly capable of. If that horse drew a barrier, it could easily have been in this sort of area, and you see it back here, checking off heels, being forced wide there, green. Go back and look at the winner while we're here, but this horse then sprints quite well, I thought, from back in the field for a roughie, and again this was a really slow tempo here, so I thought this horse's effort was very good. And we'll head back here and have a look at Lady of Shalott, who after leading early drops in for a trail, exposed nice and early. When she puts her mind on the job here, she really lets down really nicely, so a good turn of foot there, a nice bit of acceleration, and she's super strong to the line. She's a horse that can certainly, is pricked on the line, another great sign. I think it's certainly a case of this is the best horse in the race to follow, and the other one's a bit of a value option next time out. Race 5. Runner up here in Yeoman's the one we're looking at. So 2 starts ago it was dragged out of the race with the tactic change and really given no chance against a slow tempo. It came out here a little bit fitter for that, and we'll see it again. Second widest runner here, back second last. So misses the start a touch, forced to make a decision. They decide to roll forward. Here it goes now around the field. You can see they're not going super quick here, but still the field's spread out quite a bit, so going fast enough. This horse having to work to get outside the leader. See it sort of toes up there nice and early, taking on the leader early, which is a good positive. Able to put a couple of lengths on that leader and the rest of the field here at one point. This unbeaten horse, Waruna, sort of second start in a race, but an impressive winner on debut. Took the whole length of the straight to wear this runner down. And you can see that they're really the only 2 runners in play all the way down the straight, and both strong to the line. So I think Yeoman can find a similar race next time out and be extremely hard to beat. Should be peaking fitness wise and obviously going well enough to win, beaten by a fairly smart horse there. I did miss one at Coffs Harbour the day before. Another fairly obvious one here, but the speed of the race here, the tempo of the race, may hide a bit of this horse's merit when it goes to its next start. The time might hold it up. So this is the horse here, I believe it's outside the leader. Outside the leader here, slow tempo obviously. This is what we want to see what happens to show. So quite bunch margins here. This horse is accelerating away. Nothing's making ground. and we've got margins opening up behind, whereas this horse is still building momentum through the line, which is hiding a bit of its true merit. So these horses all going at the 1 speed, this in a different level, racing away. Big margin winner, but against a slow tempo, that's a really good solid win, and it's going well enough to really go on with things. The other positive about sprinting hard off these slow tempos is obviously it doesn't take as much out of a horse usually. It's a bit like track work. They're just made to sprint up that last part, obviously a bit more aggressively on race day, but this horse has had a good time of it, a really nice experience, sat up outside the leader, it's got good speed, it's got acceleration, it's got everything you want in a horse to just continue winning, so it'll be hard to beat wherever it goes in sort of similar grade around that area. Again, super tonic. So that's a quick look through some black bookers for the week, and we'll try to do this every week, so thanks guys.